Hey, it's Friends of Jeff. I'm Jeff. That's my friend Jason. Hey, Jason.
Jeff, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well.
Got a little bit of a
Another.
hitch in your step there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm on vacation, which is kind of nice. A little
That's nice.
4-day hiatus from the real world. Out and spending some time with my dad and my son out here in Colorado. We're heading home tomorrow evening, and it's nice break from the norm. So yeah,
Colorado is very nice. I enjoy Colorado times. What are you doing out there?
it's beautiful. I am here this weekend to actually see my dad get inducted into the Scrap Iron Colorado Softball Hall of Fame.
Scrap Iron Colorado Softball Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, Scrap Iron is the organization, and it's one of the bigger senior softball organizations in the country, actually. And what's considered to be senior softball is any age group over 50. And my dad,
that's not good for us.
I know, but if I played, I'd be there.
Right.
But yeah, right. But my dad is 77 and started playing back in 2018. So he actually started playing right after he turned 71, if my math is correct. And yeah, he's been playing ever since, and it's been great for him. He played baseball in college, which really helped, and then took a few years off, played some work stuff, I think, when he was a lot younger. But I think actually it's been about 30 years since he had played any organized ball once he got back into it. And he's gotten back into it, and he said as long as his body cooperates, which it has very well so far, he's going to keep playing, which is great. So
that's awesome. So he's got like a 6-year career here with this league, and then multi-years, I guess, over the years. What
Yes.
position does he play?
He primarily plays left center field. I mean, softball a little bit different than baseball. They play 4 outfielders, and on the senior softball they play 4 outfielders and 5 infielders. So because the guys they don't move as much as they used to, and that kind of thing.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. I don't move as well as I used to either. But there are some concessions that are made to kind of make the game a little safer and a little easier for the guys to play. But I've actually seen it in action a couple of years ago. I went down to a tournament not far from where you are in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was amazed at what I saw. This isn't it's not what you think it would be, a bunch of like the game moving in slow motion. These guys can play. They full out run. They can dive. They hit for power. I mean, it's good, solid softball. So I was very impressed.
So is your dad a slugger? Is he an on-base guy? Give me your dad's scouting profile.
Well, to give you an idea of how he is, he's kind of all of it. I mean, he hit over 700 this past year. He was his team's most valuable player for the second time.
He should be looking at Shohei money at this point, right?
Yeah, right. You would think. But he was an MVP back in 2020 and then got his second MVP last night. Can play all 4 outfield positions. Has played a little shortstop, has played a little second base. I can tell you he prefers the outfield because that's what he played in college. And but the thing about my dad is not only is he, plays good defense, plays offense, obviously, and can hit the ball. And he's also one of his team's designated pinch runners for the guys who can't run, which is kind of nuts. And my dad, I believe he played on 3 different teams this year, and one of the teams he played on was in an over 50 league. So the guys that he was playing with are my age. And but he was still, holding his own and played really well, and was one of the better players on the team. And he loves it. And I will say, for watching these guys and watching the banquet last night, really incredible organization for people who want to stay active and keep going. And just a real positive experience last night. It was really cool to be there.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to him.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Is it like a year-round league? Is it only in the fall or the summers, or how does that work?
You would think it was in the summer or in the spring, but with their schedule, I mean, he's on a travel team, and it's the same type of thing.
That was my next question. If this was like a travel thing.
Yes, he is. God, let's see. They're going to Phoenix in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
They've been to Vegas. They've been out to Oregon. They've been to North Carolina. They've been to Florida. They go to Dallas. They do play a little bit in Colorado itself, and then he plays 2 different leagues. I think one on Monday and one on Wednesday, 2 different league teams. And yeah, they're playing on time. I think this year he played about 130 games.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken. And yeah,
those are MLB numbers.
Yeah. But he's had a little bit of a break. I think they've been done for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks now. And but yeah, he's back at it in 10 days to go to Phoenix, and then they'll go somewhere in January and crank it back up. And he has a batting practice tomorrow morning, and I'm going with him. So yeah, it'd be cool.
That's pretty cool. He's gonna take a break, hit the weight room.
That's right.
Get back on the road.
That's right. Yeah, a little off-season training, and he believe it or not, he will hit the weights because that's what he does. And
good for him.
Be ready to go. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can confidently say he's in much better shape than I am, which is great for him. Very sad for me, but hopefully someday I can get back into playing shape and maybe do it again sometime. So
you get into one of those leagues and kind of drives it out of you, right? I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
But get those competitive juices flowing.
Yeah, very proud of him. Very proud that he does it, and he's very happy that he's able to do it. He attributes the fact that he did take 30 years off, in a way, helps. So his body isn't all that beat up, but yeah, it's pretty fun to watch him play. So it's cool.
How long? So with that long of a break, is it like riding a bicycle? Did it come back quickly, muscle memory, or was it a struggle to get back into like playing form?
My dad has always been in pretty good shape. He maintained, his health. His health is very good. Always has been. Never really had any major issues. Never had, major muscle issues or ligaments, tendons, broken bones. None of that has happened with him. He's been very lucky.
That's very lucky.
Yeah. I mean, and he eats right, takes care of himself. But to answer your question, he wanted to, when he got out here, just wanted something to do. And showed up at the fields one day, was kind of looking for some information, eventually talked to some people, hooked up with a group, started playing. And then other teams kind of saw him play and started recruiting him for those teams. And it just kind of spawned from there. And now, he's active. If the weather cooperates, he's actively doing something softball related, probably 3, sometimes 4 times a week.
Oh, wow. So, and that's year round?
Pretty much. As long as there's not snow on the ground, they're out there hitting, and it's not too cold. So
good for him. Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty wild. Yeah, it's fun.
Sounds like he needs to get some endorsements maybe or something like that.
Yeah. Well, he did just buy a new bat, so maybe they can help him out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. When do you get back from Colorado?
When do I get back? I go home tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Did you drive?
I go home tomorrow. No, we flew.
Okay, that's a long drive to get out there.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times, and it's a nice ride. It's hop on 80 and go west.
Just go west, yeah.
So, yeah, pretty much. But driving, once you get out of Illinois, parts of Iowa are okay. Nebraska is an absolute bore for 6 hours. But once you get into, believe it or not, you get into Wyoming and the Colorado part, you start to see the hills, you see the mountains. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And if you do it at the right time of day, the way the sun sets the way the sun rises heading north out of Colorado on your way home, if you leave early, is really awesome. And yeah, and you can see a ton of the stars because there's no
no light pollution.
So yeah, exactly. So it's really, there's some good scenery if you're into that kind of thing. And for me, I am. Michelle, she prefers to fly, so we flew.
Well, I guess I prefer to fly as well, but it's not lost to me the scenery, right? I think having lived in Chicago for such a long time, and everything's so flat, and other than Peyton's Hill being the monument, it's like you got here, it's like we're not as high in Colorado, so Western North Carolina. So my house is about 2,500 feet up, and it's probably a good 500 feet up from the city, and so like going from downtown Asheville up into our house is kind of like just almost a straight shot straight up a mountain. But it's totally different when you go to like Colorado, because they ain't playing with their mountains.
No, they're it's funny because one of their teams that my dad played for, it's called the 5280 team, and that's for the fact that it's a mile high. And I think where he lives here, I think it's roughly about 5,500. And I'll admit, doing, when I come out here and do some work around the house and help him with stuff, you can feel it. I'm huffing and puffing a lot quicker than he is, because he's used to it. But walking uphill and sometimes even going up and down the stairs, you can feel it.
Yeah, the scenery doesn't get old. It's still just coming from the flatness of Chicago area and then going anywhere that has any sort of elevation is always cool to me.
Oh no, it's amazing compared to Chicago. Yeah, anything's amazing. So
yeah. Well, I spent the week in Orlando in a conference for the most part. So not exactly fun and games, but no Disney. It was basically conferences for 3 days and, talking with clients and potential clients and entertaining and all this other stuff. So I got home. When did I get home? Friday I got home. So I was basically there Sunday through Friday. It was nice being able to take a shower and drink water and stuff like that. We're still under boil water here in Asheville area. So not really much has changed from like I guess a services standpoint. Internet seems to be stable. I don't know if cell service is here at the house yet, but seems kind of normal, but still no potable water running through our pipes. So that makes it interesting still. Yeah.
They have an ETA for that, or they still have no idea?
No ETA. I think I might have mentioned this on an earlier episode that we did, but they got burned a couple of years ago when the water went out around Christmas time and pipes broke. And they were, I guess, overly optimistic about when they thought things would get fixed. And they are not doing that again. So still measured in weeks and months. At this point, the water infrastructure is there. Basically, you grab your containers and head to a spot, fill up, and then head back every couple of days or so. But they have not shared an ETA when. I guess the biggest thing right now is the turbidity of the water. And if you don't know what turbidity means, which I didn't before we got into this, is basically, so what the water is how much stuff is floating in it, right? Like dust, debris, etc. And turbidity just basically means, how settled is the water, all that stuff in the water. And because of all the storms and the landslides and everything that happened, basically it's like taking a spoon into a glass of water with a bunch of dirt in it and stirring it around. Okay. Now, instead of dirt, imagine boulders, trees, homes, semi-tractor trailers, like all that stuff. And so for the water to be able to be treated, it has to go through a certain filtering process. And that really doesn't work until you have a certain level of turbidity, which means a lot of that stuff out of it. So it's basically just a matter of time for the turbidity to settle. And then you can start to basically skim like water off the top and treat that while the rest settles down to the bottom. Gotcha. So that's where we're at, is waiting for that turbidity. Some of it's time. Some of it is they think they can do like some treatments and they're working with the EPA and stuff like to try and accelerate it what they can. But really, it's just a waiting game. And just because of the sheer amount of stuff that happened to the reservoir, it's going to be a while, I think.
Well, from what I understand, water in its pure form is actually pretty disgusting, right? Just based on where it comes from. And then they treat it, but they add a lot of chemicals to it. Yeah, it's kind of, clean it up supposedly, but then they tell you how bad that is for you. So, everybody's got their water filters and purifiers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can only imagine once you add, like you were saying, construction stuff, house, boulders, I'm sure gasoline, oil, all kinds of, fertilizer, whatever to it. I mean, it probably has it all.
Yeah. And normally we have pretty good water here. It's one of the better ones, I think, in the nation. But, when you've got a reservoir that sits in the mountains and landslides and things drop stuff into it. Yeah, sure. Of course it's going to happen. Yeah. So, still boiling water. That's where we're at. I head to Indy in a couple days for another conference. And then I think I'm actually home for a couple weeks, maybe. So we'll see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
And then, I had another conference in December, and then I think I'm gonna be done. I usually take the last couple weeks off of December for birthdays and Christmas and New Year's, and just not a lot of client stuff happening, so it's kind of an easy time to take off.
Yeah, no, I same thing here. So
yeah,
looking forward to
that. Let's see. I know we want to talk Bears. We definitely have to talk baseball because I know you're itching. But I want to talk about LeBron James real quick.
Sure.
Because we talked about this in our last episode about, the argument between Jordan and LeBron, and I'm still a Jordan guy, right? That's just me. But LeBron James the other night had the first ever, I think, 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, didn't miss a shot quarter, I think ever. And the dude is in his 22nd season. Come on, man. That's nuts.
Well, yeah, and as a fellow Jordan fan, as we said, I think it was the last time we chatted. If you don't respect LeBron's career as a basketball player, regardless if you like him as a person or not, you're nuts. 22nd season. I think he's 40, maybe even 41.
He could be 40. Okay. He could be 80. I don't know. But
but
to put that kind of points up, for a guy that age and to do it that long is just absolutely unreal.
Well, yeah, and I'd be curious. I should have looked this up. I know he had a triple double in that game that you're talking about, and
32 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists.
Yeah,
and he had 5 turnovers. But he shot 12 of 22, so better than 500. Made his free throws. He led the team in scoring.
I said it before. I'll say it again. He's still their best player.
Yeah.
He's still the Lakers' best player. I don't care what Anthony Davis can give you. Anthony Davis can give you, he's capable of being their best player and is capable of the game he had opening night every night, but he has yet to establish any consistency with that. But LeBron is their best player. He's still a top 10 player in the NBA, easily, in my opinion. And it's amazing what he continues to do. And I am not 100% convinced that this is his last year.
If you're still playing at this kind of level, I feel like he's the kind of guy that plays until he can't anymore.
Yeah.
He's a lifer, right? This is all he's done for, probably 40 years at this point. But yeah, you could also argue his son needs more time to develop. I guess he's going to bounce back and forth between G League and the NBA, but I kind of feel bad for his son because I think he's set up to fail here because he's not as good as his father. Not right now, at least. I don't know if he ever will be.
He's not. And I think we talked about how drafting him was more of a favor to LeBron or concession to LeBron than an achievement by his son, Bronny. Bronny has no business being in the NBA. And you've seen it. You saw it in the preseason. You saw it opening night. Unfortunately, he's a step behind. He looks lost. Can't shoot the basketball very well. This is really struggling. And the longer they continue to have him on that roster and not in the G League where he can actually play minutes and, make mistakes and learn and things like that, the longer they have him just rot on the bench, they're just going to destroy the kid's career. His confidence can't be all that high to begin with. And he's got to know. He's got to know that he's, in a way, kind of a novelty, right?
Right.
And
is he like you said, it's a favor, right? He should not be in the NBA, but he is, and he has played one game, 3 minutes. He has 1 rebound, and he's 0 for 2,
right,
on shooting, and that's it. I don't know what his plus minus is, but it's not good.
Well, okay, if you're Bronny, do you have the guts to go to your dad? And because let's be real, LeBron runs the team, but for all intents and purposes, go to your dad and say, Dad, look, I understand playing with you was great. We're the first father-son duo, but I gotta look at my career here and say, I need to go where I can get minutes. He's not going to get minutes playing for the Lakers. He's just not.
Yeah.
Nor does he deserve them. Send me to the G League. Let me get some minutes. Let me get some time, get some confidence, get my shot back, all that stuff. And maybe come help you guys in a couple of months or something like that, because it's over. He appeared in a game with his dad. It's done. It's been achieved.
History's made. Okay.
Exactly.
Next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But going back to LeBron himself, incredible what the guy just continues to produce playing basketball. We'll never see it. We'll never, at least in our lifetime, I don't think we'll ever see anything like LeBron James again.
Hey, never say never. I mean, you don't know. Maybe who knows how long we'll live. And maybe there's already a stud in the league that is, going to set the world on fire.
I'd be shocked. I would be truly shocked.
I would be shocked too. But yeah, listen, we have these legendary players come around once a generation.
Yeah.
So we've had in our lifetime, we've had Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. You could argue Bird and Magic for our much younger years, right? Things like that.
Yeah.
So we've had a pretty good run of players in our lifetime so far.
Oh, for
and hopefully
sure.
We've got a few more decades left.
Yeah. And I mean, you go back to the days of Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell. Mm-hmm. Those guys obviously dominated basketball back then. So yeah, they're out there, but I'm sorry. I just think LeBron's kind of in a class by himself in certain ways, and how long he's played and how productive he is at such a late age in basketball. I can tell you who will not be like LeBron, and that's his kid. So I think we
the
can
odds are not in his favor.
No.
All right. Talk Bears.
Yeah, let's get into it. I know we don't want to, but we need to.
All right. So we're coming off of the loss against the Commanders on the last second Hail Mary. And I watched that play happen, and I literally went like this. As soon as I saw it tip up, and I knew there's a guy behind him, he's gonna catch it, that's game over. I just put my hand on my head, is that's game. And of course, that's what happened. I go back to my Sports Center years where I was watching it every morning, going to high school, and I don't know if it was the Sports Center morning anchors like Stuart Scott, Craig Kilborn, or maybe it was who's the guy back guy?
Chris Berman.
Or Chris Berman. Yes. What do you do when there's a Hail Mary on the defense? You knock it down. You don't try the interception, and they tried to tip it, but there was no effort at all there on that last play.
It's the tip drill, right? I mean, I think where the Bears failed, and first off, the fact that it even happened is total poetic justice for the Commanders, because let's be real, the Bears did not deserve to win that game.
They did not, and they almost escaped again with another victory they shouldn't have had.
Yeah, but getting back to the play, I think if you look at it, you could count four Bears defenders that jumped up and went for that ball. And I think obviously somebody got a hand on it. I think it may have been Stevenson.
He came flying in from the side. He timed his jump great, but he raised his hand up to tip it up. He did not do a swat, and that cost it.
But my problem is there has to be one guy who's got to remain disciplined enough to stay behind and because there's a receiver. I mean, that's a design by the offense, right? There's one receiver that goes to the end zone, doesn't go for the ball, hoping that the thing is tipped. And there's got to be one defender that is disciplined enough to go with him and to stay with him and cover that guy. I mean, I'm not a football coach, but to me, that's defense 101 in that situation. And
so who had 80? Was it 86? 85? Yeah. Whoever had the receiver, that's on them to be back there.
Yeah, you got to stick with him. And credit to Jaden Daniels, who I think threw the ball 65 yards on
gutsy
that throw.
Play, man, with bad ribs and everything. I mean, he got drilled on an earlier play too. I mean,
yes,
yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. But like I said, the Bears had no business winning that game anyway. There was so much bad in that game.
With the goal line.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they fumbled on the one, and so DJ Moore. Roma
where do you want to start?
Keenan Allen, Roshan Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, and you hand it off to an offensive fucking lineman.
You hand
to
it
go
off
win the game
to backup center Doug Kramer. And if you looked at the replay, the handoff never even got there. So technically, the fumble is credited to Caleb.
Yep.
But I mean, the ball just went flying out of the guy's hands. I mean, that's that's why you have Roschon Johnson on your roster. That's why he's there.
Exactly. Yep.
For short yardage. And they did it later in the game, and it worked great. And the sad thing is, I'm sure they all thought it was going to Roschon Johnson because obviously they collapsed the middle. And
you mean where the guy ran into?
Yeah, exactly. If you want to fake that handoff, Roschon went out to the right on a screen. Yeah. Nobody went with him. All you had to do was pitch and catch, and that's an easy walk-in touchdown, no problem. But, the Bears using Kramer like a novelty act at days of refrigerator Perry. Come on, man. This is a game knowing what you have coming up in a few weeks, this is a game you had to have, and it was ugly all day. And the defense, despite the last play, they played a fantastic game for 59 minutes and 57 seconds.
Defense played really well until that. Yeah. I mean, 4 field goals, 5 field goals, whatever it was.
Four field goals. I mean, granted, they gave up 481 yards of total offense, which is a lot.
Ben, don't break, baby.
Exactly. They were there when you needed them. They sacked Daniels twice. I mean, Daniels is known for his 75% completion percentage, and he was like 21 of 38 today.
Yeah.
So Daniels, outside of that last play as a passer, was kind of average. Now as a runner, little different story, but it's just
he made some plays. He had 8 carries for 52 yards. I think for the most part, the running game was, I think, what you would expect. It was good, but it was not Jaden Daniels killing you with his feet, although he did have a couple of clutch drive and chain movers, either first downs or escaping, and those are killer, right? That kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, he had 21 of 38, 326 a touchdown, and 60 of that came on the last play.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely outdueled Caleb Williams, though. I mean, twice the rating. Caleb ate shit for the first 3 quarters.
Caleb had a rough day, and we'll get to that in a minute. I mean, but Daniels proved he was immortal. He's not immortal. I mean, they sacked him twice. They had 6 tackles for losses today. So the defense overall was great. Honestly, they really were. I mean, they're still third. They're still third in the league with points allowed.
Yeah, great defense. The one play you gotta have, and came up. You can't say came up short on a tip drill like that. Came up. There's got to be a better phrase to say that, because you're not short if you're leaping up in the air. Getting the hype on this and that.
Well, I mean, it's why they lost, but it's not the whole reason why they lost.
No,
right?
They were also the reason they were even in the game to begin with.
Correct.
So, but, I don't. The defense, one bad play, unfortunately, came back to haunt them, but they played well, really, all game. The offense was just atrocious for 3 quarters. I think at one point, Caleb had 3 of 9 and 90 yards, and 60 that was on that one play to was that a Dunzig or no? Down the sideline.
He was 4 of 13 headed into the 4th quarter. I mean, you can't get through a game completing only 4 passes in 3 quarters of football.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not going to blame it all on Caleb, but a lot of it, yes, I am going to blame on him. He overthrew a ton of guys today.
He struggles with that deep ball.
Yes, he does. He missed a lot of passes today. Honestly, he looked like weeks 1 through 3 Caleb today, which is kind of scary coming off the bye. I mean, they had 2 weeks. I mean, granted, they had the week off. So the week off, full week of practice to prepare for this game, and they looked like they were just coming off training camp. They played
a better team. I mean, that's
they sure did.
Fact of the matter is the Commanders' defense as good as the Bears? No, but the offense is a heck of a lot better and more consistent. And
right now
it won. They won. They lost the game they should have lost, and that's the end of the story for it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'll put a lot of it on the coordinator. Waldron was horrible today. He was absolutely horrible until the 4th quarter. But I'm sorry, the fact that DJ Moore was only targeted 4 times today, Cole Kmet only targeted once. One
that
target.
Was weird. It was like nobody, where the heck is this guy? And then he gets the shovel pass to the touchdown there at the end. But
I mean, Adunze led the team in catches with 3. Allen had 2. Moore had 2.
How pathetic is that? 3 catches leading the team.
Yeah, Roschon only 2 carries the entire day.
Yeah, okay. So let me talk about DeAndre Swift for a second, though, because he is really starting to grate me on my last nerves when he is like, 10 carries for 30 yards, and then he breaks off that long one for 56 and then walks in the end zone and puts his fingers lips like, shh. Like, no, dude, you have sucked. You got lucky on one play. Don't tell me to shut up.
Yeah, I mean, the 56-yard touchdown run. So his stats ended 18 carries for 129 yards. But I mean, you take away that one play, 17 carries for roughly 73 yards, I think it is.
Yeah, not good.
Not all that great. It's less than 4 yards a carry. I know he also had the other play where he hurdled the guy.
That was sweet. Okay. I was like, all right, that's cool.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But you take out those two plays, he's 16 carries for roughly 60 yards.
Yeah. And I also watched him dance for what should have been a 12-yard run, and he turned into a 8.5-yard run because he went to the sidelines instead of just running uphill. Get the first down.
Exactly. I don't know how many different times offensive linemen got hurt today. It's Tevin Jenkins. Jenkins down on his knees. I thought it was 3 times. Maybe it was twice.
Maybe it was 3. Yeah.
They lost.
There was somebody always down. That rookie guy came in and he looked pathetic on the left tackle.
The guy hadn't played until today. Amagaje. Yeah, he was not good.
I get it, but he's on an NFL roster. You'd think he would not. He'd have a little bit better of a strategy than just holding out an Olay flag and letting the defensive lineman run around him.
You would think so. I mean, 8 penalties for 60 yards today. They did one bad personal foul by Daniel Hardy on special teams that gave Washington an extra 15, which shouldn't have happened. And I think Stevenson got flagged for 15 yards at some point as well. But it's just bad pre-snap penalties, false starts, illegal motion. I think they had an illegal man downfield, and I think it was Amagaze, if I'm not mistaken. So stupid stuff that actually comes down to coaching. Yeah, the coaching was so bad today.
I mean, they even left all their timeouts. They could have at least called a timeout at the end of the game to get set for, okay, they're clearly going to throw the bomb here.
100%.
And
100%.
Okay, I get it. It's a Hail Mary. You're not going to rush all your players. The 4 guys they have were a joke. I mean, 2 of the guys, one was clearly like a spy. I don't know what the point of having a defensive lineman as a spy does for you.
Right.
But one guy was a spy. One guy made no effort at all to even try to push any pressure. 2 guys did, and they were not good at that. I mean, you give the guy 13 seconds to throw the ball. What do you expect? It's just, come on.
Yeah. Why you don't rush 5 guys there and put the pressure on the quarterback?
Right.
I don't understand. And like you said, he had all day to throw that football. So
yeah. And you argue, okay, there was holding, whatever. Okay, sure. But
you could argue there's holding on every single pass play.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a matter of whether or not they're going to call it. So
yes. One absolutely horrible play cost them the game. And as good as the defense played, they were the only reason they were in it. They're also, the reason they lost. So you got to take the good with the bad.
Well, okay. So they're 4-3. Ironically 4-0 at home, including the London game, and 0-3 on the road. Next week they've got Arizona, I think, in Arizona. Is that right?
I'll have to look it up and see here.
Yeah, I know it's Arizona and New England. I don't know home and away, but these next 2 games, if they have any ambition and intentions of making the playoffs, they have to have both of those games. No ifs, ands, or buts. They cannot go into the division schedule any less than 6-3. And one would argue today was almost a had-to-have-it game as well.
Yeah. I mean, these are the only 2 on paper winnable games that they have. Arizona and New England next, because then they hit Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, and Green Bay.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit today proved that they are for real. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, Jared Goff throws for 85 yards, but he throws 3 touchdowns and they score 52 points.
Yeah.
No
Their
Aiden
point
Hutchinson.
differential is 100 on the year.
Yeah. No, they don't have Aiden Hutchinson on defense. It doesn't seem to be an issue.
Yeah.
The Packers win again. Granted, they're playing Jacksonville. I get it, but Jordan Love gets hurt, goes down. Malik Willis comes in. They don't skip a beat. Mm-hmm. So those guys.
And the Vikings are rolling too. I mean, you can still argue it's still the best league in NFL between a 6-1 Lions and the worst team being the 4-3 Bears. But the Bears are in danger of kind of falling completely off the wayside here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings did lose again on Thursday. They lost the Rams 30-20. So they might be coming back down to earth a little bit. But I mean, Sam Darnold is still proving to be pretty good.
That's a nice story.
Just,
I mean, a cast off from the Jets, and it's great because because Rodgers has been sucking with the Jets. Like, okay, well, it's clearly not. I mean, he's got weapons. He got all his receivers there that he wants. He got the play caller that he wants, and they're still and they lose to New England. I mean, really?
Well,
Belichick's happy.
You got two of Aaron Rodgers' biggest fans talking to each other right here, and yeah, it's pretty awesome to watch him lose week after week. And they trade for Devontae Adams, and doesn't seem to help him, which is even better because that guy is such a tool.
Yes. Well, maybe the problem wasn't Robert Saleh, huh?
Maybe it wasn't.
He goes to Green Bay and they get a victory, so good for him.
Yeah. So
well, any day that Rodgers loses is a good day. Unfortunately, the Bears lost too, and the Packers did win. So, and the Niners are playing right now, but they're down 7.
Niners still just getting killed by injuries. Unfortunately, that's just gonna derail, I think, their season. Unfortunately,
yeah.
KC won again today, still undefeated.
And they go out and trade for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that's a good move.
Yeah, so you got Hopkins across from Xavier Worthy, which is a pretty nice duo right there. And then the only other surprise to me on the day was Cleveland beating Baltimore by Jameis Winston. Jameis still out there doing it and making the team look a lot better than they do with Deshaun Watson under center. So
famous
good for
Jameis.
Yeah. Another nice story. He had a rough time coming out of college. Had some rough years in Tampa, and I know he was with the backup with the Saints for a while, and I think he learned a lot. And hopefully he takes over that Cleveland job for a while and sees some success. So good for him.
I don't think they have much choice, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously Deshaun Watson's probably, I mean, he's done for the season, but probably done there. He's going to make his $200 million and right off into the sunset.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jameis throws 334, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great game for him against, our arch nemesis with the Ravens, who, they've dropped a couple now here too. They're 5-3. So
yes,
still a good team, but yeah, good for the Browns, I guess. They need something.
They do.
Because they still live in Cleveland.
Yeah. And then the last thing we probably need to touch on is the return of Tua.
Tua
back. Yes, Tua back in the league, as we talked about and debated a couple weeks ago, that whether he should even play again, let alone play this year. He made his triumphant return. I know they lost today, but seeing Tua on the field is a win in my mind. And he doesn't want to wear the protective helmet. He just wants to go out there and play football. And
he'll do it until he's got scrambled eggs for brains. And hey, that's his choice. He's an adult and he'll make it. But yeah, I think they showed a highlight of him sliding and the crowd cheering. Slip. It's like, all right, good for him.
That's good.
I still think it's a huge risk for him to be playing, so soon with just the history and not even taking like extra precautions with like, whatever that head, the helmet padding thing is. I mean,
yeah,
but
I forget what they call it. He is a football player, and that's what he said. He said, "I'm a football player. This is what I do." So he's going to do it until he can't do it anymore. And hopefully that does not come sooner rather than later in his case.
That's true. I hope they invest in the offensive line.
Yeah, just like the Bears. But as we know here in Chicago, good offensive linemen are not that easy to find.
They are not.
So,
any trade rumors for the Bears? Are you going to see anything happen here?
I've heard Myles Garrett. I've heard Max Crosby. I've heard Trayvon Walker. Any of those 3 guys would be awesome. However, none of them solve their offensive line issue.
Yeah.
They are all pass rushers, and I think any of those 3 lining up opposite Montez Sweat would make their defense that much better. They would have, in my mind, a Super Bowl level defense if they don't already. But you've got to solve some issues on offense. And like I just said, linemen are not easy to find, especially at the deadline. And you'd have to give up an awful lot to get somebody of substance to make an impact. And unfortunately, I don't think just getting one guy is going to solve your problem on the line.
Yeah. Well, they cut Velus Jones too, and Khalil Herbert, right? He's gone too. So
Kari Blasingame.
Kari Blasingame. That's in it.
I think they could trade Khalil Herbert, because he hasn't touched the ball in 3 or 4 weeks now. And they could also trade Nate Davis because he's garbage. But offensive line, but he's trash. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But Poles has been active at the deadline the past 2 years. I mean, he made one trade that didn't work out at all for Chase Claypool. I almost said Les Claypool, fused with the bass player Primus, but Chase Claypool, and that didn't work out. And then he traded for Sweat. That has, I think, worked out very well. So we'll see.
Yeah. I did like Sweat today chasing down Jaden Daniels on that one sideline play. I was like, all right, the guy's got some speed. So, way to go.
Yeah, I know he's taking some heat because the sack numbers aren't really there, but I think that guy impacts the game and a lot more than people realize.
Yeah, I mean he's going to draw focus, so he does get pressure, and if he's making it easier for other players to make plays, then that's still something.
Yeah, I mean you saw it; he was getting double teamed all day long, and still was able to create havoc, if you will.
Yeah. So. Yep. Baseball. We're 2 games into the World Series. I have not watched a single inning. I could care less about baseball, as you know, but I did see the highlights of, I guess, the first game and how that ended, which is pretty great. And then I did see something about the other night. How was it? Saturday night's game.
Well, game one was kind of a back and forth until the very last inning when Freddie Freeman came up, 2 outs, bottom of the, I believe it was the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th.
Yeah, I know it was an extra. Yeah.
Yeah, extra innings. Dodgers loaded the bases, and Freeman hit the first pitch he saw roughly 420 feet into the right center field bleachers and won the game 6-3. First time in the history of the World Series that there's ever been a walk-off grand slam to win a game.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I mean, is that like a childhood memory, like dream as you're growing up? It hit the Kirk Gibson, hit the home run in the not Kirk Gibson. Who's the home run guy in the? Who am I thinking of? Help me out here. You're the baseball guy.
I mean, it's happened many times as far as walk-off home runs.
Yeah,
the World Series. Kirk Gibson is one of them. He did hit a game 1 home run for the Dodgers. Same kind of situation. It was not a grand slam. Ironically, how's this for you? So Freeman hit the home run at 8:37 Pacific Standard Time in that game. Game 1, World Series win. Kirk Gibson, 36 years ago, game 1 winner off of Dennis Eckersley, was hit at 8:37 Pacific Standard Time. Pretty wild that down to the minute it happened 36 years later. And hats off to the announcer who said as Freeman was rounding first base, Freddie Freeman meet Kirk Gibson. He said something to that effect, which was pretty
I think
cool.
He said like channeling his inner
Gibson, I think is what it was. You're right.
Yes.
And pretty cool moment. What was really cool to see is obviously Freddie rounding the bases, comes to the plate. Everybody's jumping around and hitting him on the head, all that kind of good stuff as they celebrate. And he kind of broke through like a running back, kind of splitting the defense. Ran over and saw his dad in the front row behind the plate and shared a moment with him, and then came back to celebrate with the team. So pretty awesome if you're a baseball fan. Like they said in Moneyball, how can you not be romantic about baseball? It's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see.
I mean, every kid dreams about it, right? No matter what sport, hitting a game-winning shot, hitting the home run, throwing the touchdown, catching the touchdown, the goal, whatever it may be. It's always a cool moment when that happens.
Yeah, as a kid who played a lot of baseball and watched a lot of baseball, my kids play baseball. Baseball is kind of in my family. My dad played it, as I mentioned earlier. It doesn't get any better than that. I mean, that's like that's one of the highlights of your life, let alone a baseball career. It just doesn't get better than hitting a walk-off in a World Series game. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. You've got roughly 57,000 fans screaming at the top of their lungs. You've got a pitcher throwing a ball almost 100 miles an hour at you, or he could throw a ball 80 miles an hour at you. You don't know where it's going to go. It could move side to side. It could come straight in. You have no idea what's coming. And you've got to hit a round ball with a round bat and try and make something happen. And for anybody, Grant Freeman's probably one of the top 10 hitters in the game today. For anybody to be able to be laser focused like that and shut all of that out and just focus. He said he focused on one pitch, and that's where it happened to be. And he swung at it, and he said, "I didn't want to be late for the heater." He got the heater, he met it, and that thing went a long way. And it was one of those where you hit it, and you don't even feel it on the bat. He hit it, raced his bat to the sky. Crowd went bananas. He did the bat flip and probably floated around the bases, not feeling anything. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, I wonder at that point you've hit it, right? At that point, you've got all of it, and then are you even thinking it's around the bases, or are you just on autopilot at that point? Like, oh my gosh, just kind of like floating.
I think you're kind of floating, and believe me, I've never experienced anything like that in my baseball career. I've never hit any in high school games. I played little league games, or never hit a walk-off home run. I didn't hit a whole lot of home runs when I was a kid, but I think it's one of those things where, believe it or not, it's like all the noise is happening, but you don't really hear anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're just like, I can't believe this happened. I got to make sure I touch all the bases, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you're just, everything kind of goes out the window at that point, right? They're just amazing, absolutely amazing. And just when you think what's cool about the game of baseball is just when you think you've seen everything that could possibly happen in the game, there's another thing that's happened for the first time ever. And we're almost 150 years of baseball in, and things just, it just gets better and better in my opinion. So,
it's the poetry, it's the drama, that's sports, right? It can be the most ho-hum, boring game, as I like to say baseball is. And then with one swing of the bat, it changes. And it's the bat. It could be that. It could be a freaking tip drill into the end zone to lose a game. It can be, what is it? I'm losing all my names today. The Chicago Blackhawks, when they won their first cup in a while. Mm-hmm. Patrick Kane, or not Patrick Kane. Who was the other guy? Kane and Taves. Yeah, it was Patrick Kane. Yeah,
Kane scored the goal.
And nobody knew that he had scored except for him.
Right.
And they couldn't find the puck, and they're like, he was the only one who knew was celebrating. Like that, those kinds of moments are really why people play. And that's why it captures so much passion, I think, for so many people.
Well, and that's why I think people who say sport, and there are people out there that say sports are fixed, I think they're nuts. You can't fix that stuff. That stuff
that's
fake.
Kind of tinfoil. Really, like you're gonna, it's like, like not walking on the moon, or, the earth is, flat. Come on. Like you're talking about like trying to have a conspiracy of millions of people around the world.
Right.
We can't even agree what kind of pizza we like.
Exactly.
And you think like there's going to be some massive thing. Like, it's just like, come on.
Yeah, pretty awesome. But the Dodgers are up 2-0. They won 4-2 last night. Freeman went deep again in last night's game. Pretty much, if the Dodgers take this series, I think he's far and away the front runner for World Series MVP. The pitching last night was outstanding, actually, on both teams. Game 1, the pitching was outstanding for both teams. Game 2 last night, the pitching was outstanding for the Dodgers. Carlos Rodon struggled. And you know why he struggled? Because he is an ex-White Sox pitcher. That's why he struggled.
There you go.
There's your Sox connection for you. So, but no, that's not why. I think the Dodgers just got to him. They had home runs from Teoscar Hernandez, Tommy Edman, and of course Freddie Freeman. But now the series shifts to New York. And the Yankees and the Bronx are just as tough as the Dodgers are in LA. Storied franchise. They've been playing in the Bronx for over 100 years. You got, from Babe Ruth to Derek Jeter, Lou Gehrig to Mickey Mantle. The names, I can go on and on about the legends of the Yankees, and a lot of stories. So,
and the games have been competitive, right? From a scoring perspective, it's not like there's been blowouts.
Yeah. Oh no, No, you're talking what? The Freeman walk-off made it 6-3, but it was tied 2-2.
That was the 10th.
Going into the 10th.
Yeah.
And then last night, 4-2 ball game. Yankees had the tying run at the plate. So it's not like, the Dodgers walked away with it by any means. So, and I said that I think the Dodgers were going to win this series. I think it'll take 6, maybe even 7 games. If Aaron Judge decides to show up for the Yankees, I think that would help. He's really struggled. I mean, the guy hit 58 homers in the regular season. He's done jack squad. Another wild card is Ohtani. I know we've talked about him multiple times. He hasn't done a whole lot in this series. I think he has 1, maybe 2 hits. Also,
and he got hurt too the other night.
He got hurt last night trying to steal second base. And why he's trying to steal second base up 3 runs in the 8th inning does not make sense to me. But got hurt, partially separated shoulder. He has been cleared to play tomorrow. So we'll see how that affects him. Because, I think the Dodgers can win it without him. But having him obviously is a lot better than not having him.
Yeah, that's kind of why you're paying him, right? Is to be there.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, that's why you're going to pay him in 10 years from now.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But then the interesting thing I heard today talking about payments is, I know you don't follow this that much, but the Dodgers I read today are possibly interested in Juan Soto, who's going to be the biggest free agent on the market since Ohtani was on the market last year. Now, if somehow the Dodgers find a way to reel in Juan Soto and add him to their payroll, I don't see how the Dodgers can lose a game, let alone not win the World Series every year for the next, 5-10 years. I mean, the guy is that good. You're talking a payroll touching $400 million at that point. And that blows every luxury tax number out in the world. But Dodgers sell out every game. They're the one team that can afford it. So that's going to be an interesting storyline going into the offseason. So,
and I think we talked this before, but they'll make money. They'll make that money back and then some with
easily
all the beer and popcorn they'll sell in the stands, right?
Beer, popcorn, jerseys, hats, swag, jackets, whatever, commercials, endorsements, all of it. They'll make it back in no time. So we'll see. But I'm rooting for the Dodgers because I like them, and I grew up liking them, and I hope they finish this thing off. But I don't think it's over just yet.
Yes. So you think it's 6 or 7 game series?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, that's competitive. I mean, this is the series that the MLB wanted, right? You got the 2 largest markets.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Yeah, I think it's what was best for baseball. And I think that the having the Mets in the World Series, yeah, it would have been cool to see the 2 New York teams battle it out. But then you really kind of the rest of the country really doesn't care as much. Right. And now you've got 2 teams with fan bases across the country and really across the world, right? I mean, when you think of American baseball, you think the Yankees and you think of the Dodgers. Those are the 2 teams that probably come up the most. And that's what keeps, interest. So
this is.
It's not like the Pirates are playing the Rays. You know what I mean? If the Pirates are playing the Rays, we wouldn't be talking about it, I promise you. So
yeah, no kidding.
So
what else is going on in the sports world?
Well, I mean, just a quick deal about our other 2 Chicago teams. Bulls off to a 1-2 start. They played 3 games. Lonzo Ball has played 2 of those games and no injury effects so far. Averaging about 14 minutes a game. I mean, I know they capped him at 16 minutes, so they're about right on par with what the plan was. I think the Bulls are headed for another season of basketball hell. Right, they'll finish right in the middle, maybe get into the play-in, and wind up with a mid-round draft pick that they'll probably do nothing with, and they're just going to continue to spin their wheels and be average at best. I mean, you got Zach LaVine, you got Vooch, you got Kobe White. I mean, okay, they're okay. But outside of that, you have nothing. I mean, Patrick Williams, you signed Patrick Williams to a 5-year, $90 million extension in the offseason, and he's giving you 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists a game. I know it's only 3 games, but this is what he did before he signed that extension. I would have let him walk. I really would have let him walk, but they didn't. They signed him. So we're stuck with him, unfortunately. So, yeah, the Bulls are going to be boring. Good thing I can't see them on TV all that much because of the CHSN deal that has not come into effect with Hulu or YouTube TV yet in Chicago, but not seeing them on my screen is okay with me. I'm okay with just reading the box scores and watching them win every once in a while. So whatever.
I think it's what we have to do though as fans, right? Is if your team is putting out a mediocre product, how do you vote with your dollar? You yelling at the screen and typing up an angry Reddit post isn't going to do anything.
No, and I've said it about the White Sox too. And ironically, they're owned by the same guy, so you shouldn't be surprised. But the way you make noise, like you said, is with your dollar. And the way fans can stop it is stop going to the games. The Bulls, as far as I know, either led the league or are in the top 2 in attendance like the last 5 years. They sell out all the time. It's a fun place to go. The United Center, great place to watch a basketball game. It's got everything. But the product on the court is average. And it's just, unfortunately, their owner seems to be satisfied with average. And until things change, just like on the south side of Chicago with the Sox, until he changes his mindset or unfortunately passes away, it's not going to change. So it is what it is.
Do you think they're trading on the Jordan years and the Rose years and the nostalgia of the Chicago Bulls?
Maybe.
Because the product has not been good for a while.
No, it hasn't. I think they know that they put a good product in the stadium. The food's good. Beer's cold. It's a fun place to be. All the theatrics that goes with it. I think they bank on that. And they're satisfied with the return they're getting. And they refuse to change the product on the court. So, you still see references to Jordan, to Pippen, Dennis Rodman. You see all those titles. You see the trophies out in the hallway and all that stuff. You see all that stuff. It's like the Bulls Museum, right? And, people, when they go to the game, they want to go see that stuff. But when it comes to the actual game, it's garbage.
It's not entertaining basketball even. It's
not. It's boring.
It's like watching a rec league sometimes. And then you get a good team come in and you can clearly see the difference between the talent.
That's the other thing. Most other teams have at least one superstar, right? So, when the Lakers come to town, they're going to sell out. Why? Because people want to see LeBron, because they think it's their last time to see him. If the Timberwolves come to town, they want to see what's his face, Anthony Edwards, because he's one of the better players in the league. If the Celtics come to town, they want to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're good players in the league. You see Dallas come to town, you see Luka. You see the Joker when Denver comes to town. So there are really good players in the NBA right now that are worth watching. But the Bulls just refuse to sign one of those guys in free agency, because they're not going to draft them, because they don't know how. They can't find them. Unfortunately,
they're drafting in a position too where they're not getting a crack at the best players.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. In the NBA, there's college draft. There's maybe 6, sometimes less, maybe 5 guys that are worth a damn coming out of college. The rest of them are all development guys. The Bulls, unfortunately, never picked that high. And when they did pick that high, which was once in the lottery in the past couple of years, they picked guys like Patrick Williams, who didn't even start for his college team, Florida State, yet he is the number 4 pick in the draft. I never understood it then. I still don't understand it now. It makes no sense. So,
well, he's averaging 10 points a game over the last couple of years. So let's give him 90. Let's give him 90 million.
Sure. I guess. Well, it's a going rate.
If you want to go and support the Bulls, they're playing Memphis at Memphis Monday night, and tickets are as low as $4.
Oh man, great.
Bulls, Memphis Grizzlies, $4. I mean, that's cheaper than trying to get a beer or something there.
Well, you could probably fly to Memphis and go see him there cheaper than what you could go see him for at the United Center.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like just one ticket left. I'm looking at, let's see, these are all nosebleed seats. Yeah, obviously, but there are a lot of $4 tickets for sale. If you go onto ESPN and look up the schedule and see the price of the tickets. Yeah. So if you want to go to Memphis and watch the Bulls Monday night, you'll spend more in gas to get there.
Yeah, not good. And then we could talk about the 4th team in town, which is the Blackhawks. Also off to a very anemic start. Had 2 wins 6 losses and 1 tie, or 1 overtime loss. Excuse me. They don't have ties anymore in hockey.
Yep.
Again, I think we're looking at another long season of disappointment with the Hawks. Obviously, everybody knows they have Connor Bedard. It's his second season, supposed to be the next big thing in hockey. Averaging a point a game. He's got 3 goals, 6 assists. It leads the team. You are seeing his maturation a little bit. Doesn't have a whole lot of help, and that's the problem.
Who's this?
They brought back Teravainen. Those of you who followed the Hawks back in 2015, I think he was on, or 2013, he was on the first Cup team that they won when they won. He's got 3 goals and 4 assists and looks pretty good on the same line as Bedard. But they have a lot of disappointments on this team as well. They signed a bunch of free agents that have actually done nothing, absolutely nothing for them. One of their guys from last year who played really well, Phil Kershev, has 1 goal in 8 games, and Coach Luke Richardson has already benched him once. That never would have happened last year. He was like their second best player, and he's already been a healthy stretch in 1 game. And the guy who was the second leading scorer for them, Jason Dickinson, through 8 games, has only 1 goal and 1 assist. So there are guys that are struggling. They do have a lot of young guys that they're trying to figure out, especially on defense. Trying to figure out if Lucas Reichel's the real deal. He shows flashes, and then other games you don't even know he's there. So for all you hockey fans out there, and I know there aren't a ton of you, but for those who are, I would just say be very patient. There's a lot of talent in Rockford, which is their AHL squad. There's a lot of talent that they have control over that is still playing out their careers in college. So it's coming, supposedly. But it's kind of a wait and see game with the Blackhawks. You're probably looking at another 2, 3, maybe even 4 years before they're really playoff relevant again.
Yeah, 2-6-1, bottom of the Central in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Could be worse. We could be the San Jose Sharks at 0-7-2.
Yeah, well, the Sharks, they're the team that had the number 1 pick last year when the Hawks had number 2. So, they're looking at the same problems. So
yeah. Well, when the Hawks had Taze, Kane, Keith, that whole lineup there for that maybe 5, 6, 7 years where they won a couple of cups was some of the best times, I think, for Chicago hockey fans. If you go back to then, it was really like Roenick and Chelios and things like that. But that team was just special.
It's really hard, I think, in any sport to have overall sustained success over the long haul. I mean, like you said, you have good runs. Hawks had a really nice run for 6, 7 years. The Bulls had their run. The Cubs just recently came off of their run. It struggled the last couple of years, but I think they made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years in a row. I can't say that about the White Sox, but they're the anomaly, I guess. Bears, I can't really say that about them either. They're still trying to figure it out. But it's just really difficult in sports to have sustained success. One example of sustained success is the Dodgers. I think they've made the playoffs, the past at least 10 years in a row, and I think they've won their division in the last 9. Granted, baseball's a little different. You don't have a salary cap in baseball, so if you're willing to spend the money, it's out there for you. Dodgers are a team that is willing to spend the money, and that helps immensely, I think. Whereas in hockey, in football, and in basketball, they all have a salary cap, so you got to really know how to manage your money, how to manage your talent, how to manage contracts, find the loopholes, because there are loopholes out there. But and you really, really, really have to know how to evaluate talent. And unfortunately, in Chicago, I think the Bears are starting to figure that out. At least on defense, they are. But in Chicago, evaluating talent is a real struggle for almost all the teams, in my opinion. And I'll even throw the Cubs in there. They, as we've talked before, they've got decisions to make as well. So,
what do you think is the most well-run organization in professional sports?
Oh man,
any sport. Let's just keep it to America for now. Unless you can think of something. Sports. Europe. Yeah. What do you think is the most well-run team?
I think, honestly, I mean, I know I just said that they have the money, but I think it's hard to argue against the LA Dodgers, to be honest with you. Because while you can spend the money, as we all know, teams that spend money, sometimes they spend it on bad contracts. Look at the Deshaun Watson deal. Look at when the Cubs signed Jason Hayward, when the Cubs signed Alfonso Soriano. That there are countless examples of bad contracts out there. The Orioles are still paying Chris Davis on a over $200 million deal, and I don't think the guy's played in like 5 years because he was bad when he signed that deal. I can't really tell you a bad contract that the Dodgers have signed. And on the flip side, the Dodgers do develop their own talent to supplement all the money they spend. They have developed countless pitchers and position guys to fill those roles where they don't go buy people, right? They've made the right trades. I mean, you're looking at just this year alone, they traded for Tommy Edman, a utility guy from the Cardinals who was actually hurt when they made the deal. He came back about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks after he was traded to LA from injury, hadn't played all year, and was the most valuable player in the championship series. And you look at all the star power on the team with Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Muncy, Will Smith. For the MVP to be Edman, that's a team that knows how to scout talent, evaluate talent, go out and get talent, right? Another team I think that you could say is well run. They haven't had the ultimate goal success, but Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think they have finished under 500 in Mike Tomlin's entire coaching career. And I think it's 18 years, if I'm not mistaken. You could make an argument that the Kansas City Chiefs, granted they've got, arguably the best quarterback on the planet. But
I don't think it's been sustained though. I mean, they've had a good run here the last, let's call it 5, 6, 7 years, right? Since Mahomes came in.
Absolutely. Which in football,
I'm surprised you don't mention the Yankees as part of that.
Yankees.
I mean, 27 World Series titles.
If you talk about the span of like 100 years, yes, you probably say the Yankees are the best. They've had the most success over a long period of time. In recent years, they've kind of struggled. They make the playoffs, but they can't seem to finish a job. But yeah, I mean, they've had tons of, over the years, Hall of Famers. Guys have retired jerseys. They've made a ton of playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that have had, sustained success overall. Mm-hmm. But in recent years, I don't know if I could put the Yankees there just yet. They're kind of working their way back a little bit. But, I mean, they might be there now, but you got to win one to have sustained success, You got to win one before you sustain something.
Right, yeah. Do you think that there is a certain sport of the 4 majors here in the U.S. that lends itself well to maintaining organizational excellence? Like the first thing that came to your head was was baseball.
I think baseball is the easiest because, like I said, I shouldn't say it's the easiest. I think you have the best chance to do it because of the fact that you have unlimited money that you can spend.
I would say the fact that payrolls are unlimited,
right.
You can buy your way to excellence and increase the odds in your favor, right? I mean, you can go and sign literally the best players at every position and have a payroll of $1 billion if you wanted to.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a luxury tax with that, as we talked about. But if you're willing to pay it, you can pay it.
So if Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos goes out and says, "I'm just going to sink $1 billion a year, which they can afford, into my franchise just for payroll," I mean, they're stacking the odds in their favor.
Yeah. Well, then
can't do that in other sports.
Yeah, Elon, Jeff Bezos, come by the White Sox, please. Come by the Bears for that. Come by the Bears for that matter. Yeah, I know.
I'd like to see Mark Cuban as an owner in Chicago. I think he's been great for the Mavericks.
I know for a fact he put in a bid to buy the Cubs when Ricketts bought him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I don't know why it didn't work out, but I know he was in on that for a little while.
Yes.
Well, would that have been interesting or what?
Yeah, certainly would have. I mean, part of it is not just the team, but the kind of mystique and the personalities that go around it too that drive popularity.
Right.
And he seems to be a relatively popular guy.
Oh,
Some of these
sure.
other billionaires are a little more polarizing.
Yeah, he's still, I don't think he technically owns the majority share of the team anymore, but I know he's still like a thing. He's got some affiliation with them in some way. So.
Well, maybe we can get like, the White Sox. Maybe here's what happens is like, if you're the worst team in your individual sport, you have to go on Shark Tank and try to get one of the sharks to help you.
and repitch why you should,
right. But instead of like, the Shark Tank people, it's like, I don't know, the top GMs or coaches. And it's kind of like they have to pick your team. It's like, all right, here's Bill Belichick and I don't know, some other names, right, that might be out there.
Sure.
And, the Jets come in. And there's already not, that's going to clash, right? But you have like the coaches and the GMs
right,
having teams pitched to them. And I think that'll be interesting.
It would be interesting.
I know it's like a Hard Knocks type game show type thing at the end. Or maybe you get relegated, right? If you're that bad, you don't belong in that week. Right. Like soccer or football in the Europe, as they call it.
Well, yeah. And I know for a fact that some ownership, not just in Chicago, but some ownership out there would be denied very quickly. I think all the Sharks would be like, I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, hour and 11 minutes. Did you vote yet?
I did not. I have not voted. I will. I haven't figured out when. I will do it.
I went this morning and voted. Here's my sticker. I voted.
Very good. Very good.
So did my civic duty.
I encourage everyone to get out there and vote, no matter who you decide is your choice. Be thankful that you have one and get out and do it. I'm just really looking forward to the day where I don't get the ads in my mail and I don't see the candidates on my television and they all kind of go away and then we can all go about our lives. So I'm really looking forward to that, whichever way it goes.
Well, not to be partisan, but there's only one candidate you can vote for that actually makes all that go away. So, all right.
Fair enough.
What else? So I'm headed to Indy next week. What do you got coming up this week?
This
heading back
week,
to Chicago.
Heading back to Chicago. Work. We got Halloween on Thursday. I don't have any kids to take trick or treating anymore. I just a bunch of kids come to my house, which is kind of cool. So we'll participate in that. And then I turn the ripe old age of 51 on Friday. Don't feel a day over 50, which is great. So yeah, that's really about it. And then next weekend is next weekend. And just life goes on, man.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Life just keeps the world keeps turning, the sun keeps rising.
That's right. I have no complaints. I have no complaints at all. I hope for the best with your guys' situation, of course. Hopefully sooner rather than later, we don't have to boil the water anymore. And,
that'll be a nice. That'll be a nice. I will definitely bring that to the table when that happens because that'll be a nice win.
Absolutely.
Look, it's been challenging, right? I mean, the area still has a lot of issues, a lot of troubles. When presidential candidates and their surrogates come to town and tie up traffic, nobody likes that. So both Trump and who else was here? Kamala Harris was here. Jill Biden was here a couple days ago. Tim Walz is going to be here. I was like, no, thanks, stay away. We don't need the traffic.
And I understand. Well, it's kind of twofold, right? I understand I want to show the support and all that, but it's also FaceTime for them, trying to promote their photo ops and promote their image and all that stuff. And it's like, look, we don't need the extra attention.
Yeah, it's not helpful at all to have them here. It takes up time, resources, blocks traffic for miles to get anywhere. It's just a shit show.
And your traffic situation is already screwed as it is.
It's already challenging. Like, I drove to Charlotte yesterday actually and sat in a traffic jam in the middle of I-40 going east-west because there was actual legitimate repairs being done on the road.
Sure.
Can you imagine if there was also a presidential thing happening in some of the hardest hit areas? Like that's what it's like. You're sitting in a traffic jam for an hour, 2 hours, just because someone wants to come and take a picture.
Wouldn't and I know we got to go, but wouldn't your governor say to those guys, hey, I appreciate the want to be here, but you kind of create more of a problem than a solution.
I don't know how much input they have in that. I think so far, the only one that's actually done it right has been Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They actually flew over in a helicopter instead of landing. The ones that have not done well are Jill Biden, Donald Trump, and if Tim Walz comes here on Wednesday, like he's supposed to, that's not helpful.
Yeah, right? Sure.
That's great. We appreciate the support. Don't come here. Send us a check instead.
Yeah, right? Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. Or get on television and ask for help. Yes. That kind of thing.
And definitely don't do. I hate to do it. I'm going to do it, but don't do what Trump did last week and literally stand on TV and saying FEMA's not here and not helping anybody across the street from a FEMA camp and a Red Cross camp. Yeah, that's straight up lying to people. Like, FEMA's not here and helping. Like, I know where he was because he was literally across the street from a spot that Barb and I went and dropped off supplies at. Like, straight up stone cold liar. And if he's going to lie about that kind of shit, what the hell else is he going to lie about? Everything. It just drives me crazy how politicized this thing has become. Well, how do you politicize FEMA?
As a person who lives there and is living through this situation, yes, I could see how that is completely frustrating. How
it is so annoying.
How this has become a political thing when it could not be farther from it. This is This is real life happening. This is disaster happening. It's not.
And meanwhile, you've got the Republican senator here who has been really great, actually, throughout providing updates, et cetera, combating. He goes on, on the PR circuit, a couple weeks ago. Hey, there is no problem with FEMA. FEMA's here. Red Cross is here. We're getting all the support we need. And then what does he do? He goes to stand behind Donald Trump last week, and Trump is spouting out his bullshit and doesn't say a damn word.
Yeah.
So
believe me, Jeff, I know we're on different sides.
I'm so done with it. I just want it to be over with.
Yes, I'm with you. And believe me, I really wish the Republicans had somebody different. I really wish. Unfortunately, they don't.
40 out of 44 Trump former appointees have said do not vote for him. That has never happened in the lifetime of any single presidential candidate ever.
It's just, I will tell you this, and this is just my opinion, and I'll leave it at that. Every time that woman opens her mouth and cannot put a complete thought together, drives me nuts, and it scares me that she. And I'll be honest with you, I think she will win. It scares me that woman is going to be the leader of the free world, and that just really scares me.
She is far more coherent than anything coming on the other side. That is for sure. There is no comparison whatsoever. If you were saying Biden versus Trump, definitely, right? I mean, Biden struggles, and obviously you saw what happened with that.
I think zero comparison. I think she struggles too, and it's just we've seen a Trump administration.
I have not seen Kamala Harris go to a rally in her honor and stand there for 15 minutes just listening to music because he can't think of anything to say, or
I'll admit,
can't for whatever reason. Like that is straight up what Trump did. Literally stood there for 15 minutes listening to music.
I haven't seen her put together a coherent thought that's been published on the internet.
Man. Come on.
I'm sorry. All she does
is
sit up there and
anything
giggle.
That she does.
She
when
giggles
she's on TV.
And laughs and just can't answer questions. Talks to me about how grocery prices need to be addressed. How are they going to be addressed? She doesn't talk about that. She says, well, we need to address it. And we need to address it. And we'll look into it.
And the other choice is tariffs that raise the price on literally everything.
Yeah, but does it? You don't know that. You don't know that.
Who do you think is going to pay for the tariffs? They're going to pass along the cost to the company that's buying it.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think realistically it could happen. But
he tried it. He did it before with chips and with cars and all kinds of stuff.
I know, but he's talking about doing it 100%, and I don't think that's going to happen. Look,
there is no strategy to that. And then he goes on Joe Rogan and says, "Oh, we're a brand new policy thing is he just comes up with it because it sounds good. Or we're going to not have any more federal income tax." Okay.
Here's my thing, dude. They're both garbage. I really can't stand either one of them.
And that's fine. I can appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't like either one of them. I think Trump can do a better job. I just wish the guy would not open his mouth because that's where he gets in trouble.
But he's going to.
I know.
You cannot have one without the other.
And I know, and that's
he's going to. He says he's going to use the American military against people he doesn't like, and I mean, he's telling you what he's going to do.
That's the problem. He's not very tactful in what I think he doesn't think.
He wants to do mass deportations of people. I mean, come on. Like,
here's what I'll tell you. All
right. You want this all to go away? Do not vote for him. And the drama stops.
I don't think that he thinks before he speaks, but a lot of times I don't think
that's the guy you want as president?
Well, because I don't think Kamala really thinks at all, to be honest with you.
Oh, come on.
So
she's far more intelligent.
I don't necessarily agree.
But, I would.
But hey,
come on, man.
Hey, to each his own. To each his own.
That's fine.
That's why we spend an hour and 10 minutes talking sports.
Exactly. Yeah, and I want this to be over just as much as anyone else does.
I just want it over, and like I said, most likely when Harris wins, I will go about my business, and we will all move on, and that's good enough for me.
And hopefully we don't have to talk politics anymore.
Exactly. Hopefully,
I did not care until 8 years ago. That is it.
And that's fair. And and then in 4 years, hopefully this pod is still going. Well, I'm sure we'll discuss it again. So there you go.
Yeah, and we will continue to be friends and have a mutual respect.
Of course.
And I won't call you a shit face or anything like that.
I'll tell you what. That's what really bugs me. What really bugs me is the whole hate speech that has come from the past couple of campaigns. I understand what you're about to tell me, where a majority of it comes from. I get it. But what this is all created really from both sides. And I'm not saying Kamala per se herself, but the liberal Democratic Party versus the conservative Republican Party. You don't hear each other calling each other fucking assholes and shitbags and douchebags.
No, you do that in private behind the scenes. It's taking place back there.
Now you're seeing it. You didn't hear candidates calling each other idiots and stupid and dumb and just all that stuff. You didn't hear that from candidates like Reagan or Mondale or Dukakis or even Bush. They were professional. They had class. Not what's going on now. And I hate that because honest to God, in the entire world, we all look like fools. And that's what this is forcing us to do.
Everybody's laughing that this is even a contest.
Exactly. So
it's ridiculous. Anyway,
it is. So
all right, I want to get this.
But I'll leave it at that,
and
man.
I gotta work in the morning. Congrats to your dad.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a fun weekend. Always good to see him and my son too. And back to real life tomorrow night. So
yeah, and then let's see, Bears versus who is it next week?
I believe Arizona. So yeah.
Got a prediction?
I would predict that they better do a lot of work this week. I think they fix it. Yeah. I don't think Arizona. Well, I think
are they going to grow an offensive lineman somewhere?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Arizona's defense is as good as Washington's, but Caleb. I think Caleb's got to do a lot of self-scout, self-work, and honestly, take a look in the mirror and be like, hey. What did I do the past 3 weeks as opposed to what I did the first 3 weeks? And kind of get back to... He got
the ball out of his hand faster.
Exactly. He had a lot of happy feet today, a lot of indecision today. Got to get rid of the ball. So.
Yeah. So, you think the Bears win?
I think the Bears win.
Okay. Close game? Blowout?
Yeah. No, I think...
Defense keeps them in it until the last second revitalized offense come in the fourth quarter?
I think they win by 7.
Okay. I can get behind that. I mean,
right.
Cardinals are 4-4. Kyler Murray's been great. James Conner is always good. So I think they got some weapons, but I think the defense is not even close to what the Bears can bring to the table.
Well, like you said, I think the defense will keep the Bears in every single game. It's just a matter of whether or not
which makes it so frustrating.
Yeah,
it's like if they could just get their offensive line sorted out, you see the success in the future.
You could see it there. You could see it maybe happen. Yeah. But when it breaks down, it looks like amateur hour out there, and it's it's
it is. I mean, Pauls goes into next year's draft, and he drafts 6 offensive linemen. No doubt. Positions.
No doubt.
I would love to see that. Like, all right, guys, I drafted. Like, you can't blame me for not drafting offensive linemen, right? It goes out. And
That's right. Well, who knows? This keeps up. He might be shopping for a new head coach too. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. I think. I think Foose is on the hot seat.
No, for sure. Yes. But his defense might help him keep his job. So we'll see.
Should it?
I don't know. I'll tell you this.
I mean, he's a better defensive coordinator than he is a coach.
Yeah, and I would have left Waldron in Washington. So that's me.
Yes. All right.
All right, man.
Then I'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you next week.
All right. See ya.
See ya.